A new theory that may prove or disprove the existence of God that is rather horrifying. There's been a lot of conversation around the existence of God, around atheism, around theism. And as times have changed and the new atheist movement has died out, there's been a hunger of sorts for some sort of explanation to the universe. Now, when people don't generally like traditional religion, people who don't like church, people who don't like hierarchy and order, they end up creating alternative theories. And this theory, some of you guys may be familiar with, it is the theory of the simulation. Okay, if you guys haven't seen the movie The Matrix, that is essentially the theory of the simulation in real time, in that Keanu Reeves is plugged in and his energy, his physical body is harvested, and he's in this other fake reality, if you will. And the idea of the simulation is that we are created by something outside of us, and we're basically in one big computer. Similar, not exactly the same. Well, the YouTube channel, The Why Files, did a video on this, and there's some spooky conclusions of the simulation theory that kind of spooked us out that we'll get to. And Zach has a personal example of a situation where there may have been a glitch in the simulation, okay? But first, let's have a unpacking by the Why Files on what is the simulation theory, and then we'll get into some examples of the glitches in the simulation theory, specifically some Mandela effect type reactions that we can all acknowledge. Go ahead.
This might sound far-fetched, but some of the world's most respected scientists, technologists, and philosophers believe that it is more likely than not that we are living in an artificial reality. So, how do we prove it? If we live in an artificial reality, it would make sense for there to be occasional glitches. Philip K. Dick is one of the most influential science fiction writers of all time. Movies based on his books include Blade Runner, Total Recall, Minority Report, The Adjustment Bureau, and plenty of others. He believed there are many universes, and sometimes those other realities bleed into ours. He claimed to have visions of this, and even wrote stories like The Man in the High Castle based on these visions.
Okay, I like that this is a great blueprint for science fiction.
Okay.
I'm a big science fiction guy.
Okay.
So I like this as a blueprint for science fiction. Is there evidence of this? Now, I have some ideas that I will unpack later on in the video, but is there evidence of this? Well, let's listen to his breakdown.
Based on these visions.
That in fact, plural realities did exist, superimposed onto one another like so many film transparencies.
One way other realities blend into ours could be the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is when a large number of people have memories of events that don't match reality. This is called the Mandela effect because millions of people specifically remember Nelson Mandela died in prison. He didn't.
Okay. I don't know anyone that remembers that, but he's going to show up some other Mandela effect parallels that are really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
People remember his wife walking beside his casket in a funeral procession that was on television for 2 hours that day. This never happened. Or the Baron's Day.
If you're older and you were around when this happened, let me know. Drop a comment. He's going to give some other examples that I actually do remember that spooked me out.
Bears, which people insist were always called the Berenstein Bears. People remember the tycoon from Monopoly having a monocle that he never had.
Okay, I do remember that. Maybe I'm tripping.
What was Darth Vader famous for saying?
Luke, I am your father.
Nope, he never said that.
What?
What about Stouffer's Stovetops?
He said, "No, I am your father."
I always thought it was Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
Stuffing.
Best part of Thanksgiving.
No, it isn't, because there's no such product. Stovetop is made by Kraft.
No.
The evil queen from Snow White who looked into her mirror and said,
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
nope.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
Okay, Luke, I am your father, and Mirror, Mirror on the Wall.
Those got you.
Those got me.
Ooh.
Those spooked me out.
Those are spooky.
My reality is shattered.
People remember Febreze being spelled with 2 E's. People remember Jiffy peanut butter, but there's no such thing.
Okay, I Googled Jiffy peanut butter when he said this.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
It's Jif peanut butter, right?
Yeah.
Not Jiffy.
Yeah, I thought it was Jiffy.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
Because I think I say Jiffy, but I read Jif.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
And I see it says JIF, but I still say Jiffy.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There are a lot more. Personally, I don't have most of these false memories, but there are a few that get me. The Flintstones. There are 2 T's in the Flintstones. I remember just one. What
Flintstones. Instead of Flintstones. Like my son's stones. Flintstones.
Yeah.
about the Fruit of the Loom logo? I could swear it looks like this.
Yep.
But it does.
Okay. Let's see what might look different.
Do you remember this?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what made it be different. Let's see.
This is the actual logo. No corn.
What?
That's crazy.
They just rebranded and they're trying to gaslight us.
I don't think so.
And at the end of Moonraker, a terrible but excellent James Bond movie, I remember Jaw's girlfriend is having braces. I mean,
I
I
don't
specifically remember it. Have braces? I just can't get my brain to accept it. That's the Mandela effect. So why do millions of people distinctly remember different things?
Glitch in a simulation?
Yep. Philip K. Dick also felt when we experienced deja vu is because something in our simulated universe changed and a new timeline branched off of the current one.
We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed.
I think there's a lot of naturalist explanations for these things.
Okay.
Theories exist in ancient cultures around the world. Modern simulation theory comes from Nick Bostrom, a philosopher at Oxford who wrote an influential paper on the subject in 2003. Assuming that living in a simulation is possible, Bostrom presents the simulation trilemma, which says one of the following must be true. 1, we destroy ourselves before we're able to create a simulation.
Okay, so we either die before there's a simulation.
2, we're able to create a simulation but choose not to. Or 3, we are definitely in a simulation.
So basically, a simulation is involved in all three of those.
Yes.
Trilemmas.
He thinks it's inevitable.
it's inevitable.
Yeah. So that's the theory.
Yeah, and he goes on to make sense about it of being like, oh, most of our life is in a simulation. Very crazy.
Limit of the speed of light, getting to far off places is really difficult. Limiting the speed of light is a useful rule to have in place. Quantum mechanics like the double slit experiment and quantum entanglement only make sense if there's a program at work, because only the program can ignore the laws of physics. A convenient case for simulation theory is you can't disprove it. The Big Bang, that was the simulation booting up. We haven't found aliens, they're not in a simulation. How come UFOs seem to violate the laws of physics? Well, because they're programs operated by the simulation creators. They don't have to follow the laws of physics.
Yeah, but who created the simulation?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? When you think of the simulation creator as an omniscient intelligence who exists outside of our understanding of space and time, it sounds an awful lot like you're describing God.
Oh!
Whoa, that's the punchline.
Now, this experiment is happening on a table in a lab, a very short distance. So what happens when we observe light coming from vast distances, like say a galaxy 100 million light years away? If light from a distant galaxy is projected through the double slit, it creates the wave interference pattern. But if we push those photons through a measuring apparatus to observe them, the wave again collapses all the way back to its source. This is called retrocausality. Simply by choosing to observe the photons this way, they reach back through time 100 million years and alter their state on the other side of the galaxy. But like a video game engine, it only does this if we're looking. Even though our universe is full of galaxies, those galaxies may not actually be there. If we're living in a simulation, then stars and galaxies could simply be projections, and only when we get up close will those projections become more detailed. This is an excellent way to save computational resources. And because we're stuck with a hard limit of the speed of light, getting to far off places is really difficult. Limiting the speed of light is a useful rule to have in place. Quantum mechanics like the double slit experiment and quantum entanglement only make sense if there's a program at work, because only the program can ignore the laws of physics.
Okay, so here's my thing about this. All of this sounds like an argument for God.
Yeah,
All of this sounds like an argument for a creator. Now, whether or not he's a good creator or a checked out creator, that's a whole nother conversation. All this sounds like a creator. Why do I think that this doesn't prove that this doesn't hold? Here's why. If we are talking about a simulation, right? How do you reconcile the people in the simulation having children? Think about that for a second.
It's a simulation.
So if we were a first generation in the simulation, then I would be like, oh, okay. But you're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of years and billions of people all in the simulation together. And then in the simulation, these people are able to reproduce. So it's not like a video game, or it's not like the Unreal Engine, or shout out to Amy, she said The Sims. The people in the simulation are continuing to reproduce.
I think you have babies in The Sims.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, then the people in the simulation are autonomous creatures creating more people. That sounds like the creation story. That sounds like God. It's no longer a machine if you can create within the thing.
Oh, saying like you're not an actual, like you're not just a computer program.
Yeah, you're not just a computer program. A computer program can't create another computer program. They can create another computer program. They can create another computer program.
Yeah, like why is everything a simulation?
Yes, that then is
for
God.
the autonomous person.
Yes.
Which would be weird. It's
Yes.
like if you're playing a video game, but then there's certain characters in the video game that are like actually making their own decisions. And you're like, wait, like that would be spooky.
Yeah.
Which I think we would all agree we have free will unless we don't.
I think we have free will.
Okay.
So who created the simulation? It would be God.
Okay.
And so I actually think this entire theory proves the possibility of God when you get down to the double slit experiment and the light and all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
Right? I think it actually proves the existence of God when you get to the science. The examples he's using, so to me, this comes back to this idea of people who want something else to be out there without wanting to be submitted or accountable to the something else. They want some energy force. And so it's easier to say, oh, it's just advanced technologies that created us and we're in the matrix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because there's a recognition that we are so complex that we must have been created. But don't want any accountability.
I don't want no accountability because if there was an overt creator who's outside of the simulation and he has standards and expectations for his creation, I have to reconcile with whether I'm not going to submit to that. So I think this actually proves the existence of God. So if someone like an Elon Musk, is Elon Musk willing to submit himself to the teachings of Jesus in areas that are inconvenient to how he wants to live his life?
He kind of beat the video game.
Right? He kind of beat the video game.
Yeah.
Right? He's beat the video game, but is he willing to submit his life to God's ways? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting theory. Now, you had a experience where you thought there was a glitch in the simulation. It wasn't quite the Mandela effect, but you did explain that to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've seen stories of people being like, "Oh, I see something like defying physics, whether it's a bird like floating in the air or something weird, right?" But there was one specific one, and I wasn't like researching the simulation or anything like that. But there was one day where I was sitting at a red light, and I was at the front of the cars. Right? There's probably about 12 or 15 cars to the side of me and behind me. Sitting at the street light, it turns green. I go. I drive down the street to the next red light. I stop at the red light, and there's no one else at the red light with me. Like, there's no one
glitch.
There's no one on the right. There's no one in front on the other side. There's no one to the left. And then I look to the sides and no one followed me. So
sounds like you were playing Grand Theft Auto and there was a glitch.
Yeah. Like it froze. The whole game froze. And I'm sitting there like, yo. So I'm sitting at a red light with nobody there. And then I look back and there's still 12 or 15 cars at the other light just sitting there.
Yeah.
I'm like so confused.
They were all on their phone though.
I didn't know what I was looking at. I opened my door and looked out the thing. Like, am I missing something? I was like, did I run a red light? But why are there no cars over here? And then they all pulled up behind me in uniform, like NPCs. And so I was like, hey man.
I will say when I go to a place like New York, I definitely be feeling like there's a lot of NPCs there. There's just so many people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Someone said you ran a light.
I vividly remember it being green. I vividly remember it being green, having no problem going through it. Like there wasn't any like, oh. And then no one being at the next light either on all sides. And I'm just there. There's no traffic. I was just there by myself. 15 cars. There's probably a naturalist perspective. You know, I probably ran out of the red light.
Some of the other stuff you just said, like, we remember stuff different from cultural references. So
yeah,
Luke,
I am your father.
I am your father.
Yeah,
was said no, I am your father.
But it's not as fun to repeat it that way.
Excuse me.
You know, like you would imagine that kids, if they're playing Star Wars, they're gonna say, Luke, I am your father, because they're like pretending that you're Luke.
And Darth Vader also has a mask on, so it's like Luke and no can sound similar. Well, if you got
what?
No,
not even close. You made it sound like you got a daggone COVID mask.
I mean,
it's like, what did you say?
But he has it like the Echo or whatever. No,
I don't think that's it. But
all right, what do y'all think? Simulation theory? I think it's proof of God.
Tonight.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.